Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the H-Town Heel Show, where the Astros have made a pretty significant move, signing one of the top starting pitchers on the free agent market and one of the top starting pitchers from the MPB in Tatsuya Imai. Tatsuya Imai is coming here on a 3-year deal with opt-outs after each season, and he is very motivated. He wants to come here to win championships, wants to beat the Dodgers, and this is a deal that me and Heel talked about off show a lot, a deal that we wanted to happen. And this, we both weren't super optimistic because of just the Astros typically don't go out there and sign Asian market players like initially. Yeah, we've had Yusei Kikuchi, Nori Aoki, Kaz Matsui, but we've never gone out of the market and initially signed them. And Heel, I just want to get your initial thoughts on this deal because I love it.
Yeah, we even talked about it on one of the shows. We would love them to be aggressive on Amai, and we would love them to at least try to make an offer. And thankfully, they did. I don't know if you want to go on the details yet or anything like that of this deal, but I'll say this: um, 21 million a year, which is I think is every year for the contract, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's after incentives. I believe it is 18 million a year and then 21 million potentially with the incentives. So I don't know all the exact details about all the incentives yet, but there are some. But it's a pretty for what he could be. I believe that's a pretty team friendly deal.
Yeah, not only is it team friendly, but also it really makes him think about really opting out, which I really like. Like this is a win-win for both sides. Imai gets a really good contract that seems like a win-win for him because he has to opt out after all 3 years. But he also gets a huge chunk of change. Not only that, let's say he does have a really good season and decides to opt out. It's gonna be really hard for him to make over 21 million with incentives, assuming he hits all of those, right?
Mhm.
And if he does opt out, like, oh well, right? The Astros get their money back, and it's like, okay, thank you for your services or whatever. We can go out there and spend that money on someone else, and thank you for the year, right? And if he stays, it's like, okay, awesome. We get to add on, and that's great. And the thing I like about the whole 18 mil, 21 with incentives idea is that it makes him double think before he goes to the market. Because at the end of the day, that's still a really good contract. I don't know if you want to leave all that money on the table if you're a my.
Yeah, for me, I believe a lot of people during the offseason and analysts were thinking he was shooting for a longer term deal. He wasn't getting that probably 5 to 7 year, $200 million deal he was wanting because some teams, I don't know exactly why his stats have just been getting better and better every year over in Japan, but some people like just I guess didn't really see him as worthy of that contract. I mean, it's good for us because he kind of just ended up falling into our laps basically with this contract. And yeah, it is a little scary because yes, it's a good deal for both sides, but then again, it's like, what if he does really good? Then you don't even have a chance of re-signing him because of the Astros' usual ways of spending money. But he's young. I believe he's 27 years old. He's got mid 90s. So he can go up into the upper 90s sometimes. He has a really good splitter, really good curve. He has like this like Vulcan curve, weird grip that he uses over in Japan. That thing is nasty. And I mean, the Astros pitching lab is going to do wonders with him. In the press conference today, Scott Boras was with him, and Boras said the reason they felt so comfortable with him choosing the Astros was Yusei Kikuchi's time with Houston. When the Astros traded for Yusei Kikuchi, he was an okay starter. He was kind of just a middle tier, mid high four ERAs guy with just kind of an innings eater. But he comes over to Houston and the Astros pitching people and analytics team, they tell him, hey, you need to do this more. You need to throw this pitch less. You need to do this just a tiny bit more. He does it. He listens to the changes, and Yusei Kikuchi went on an absolute tear when he was with us. And I really like to think that was Scott Boras said that was one of the main reasons why Tatsuya Imai felt so comfortable coming here. And Yusei Kikuchi immediately after Tatsuya signed his deal, reached out to him and said, "Hey, those are good guys. If you need any help, reach out to me and I'll let you know." So very thankful that Yusei Kikuchi had a brief stint here and that he helped us ultimately get Tatsuya Imai.
Yeah, not only that, but uh if I'm correct here, if Walker stays, even if Walker stays, right, for the rest of his deal, which is 2 years, if I'm correct, right?
2 years, yeah.
Starting this, yeah. And let's say Amaya decides to stay all of his seasons and he performs really good, we'll have more money to try to extend him. So this deal could work out even more better than what we thought. Obviously there's the bad side of it, which is also a good and a bad thing, I guess you can say. So maybe it's not all bad. Maybe that wasn't the right way to go about it. It's the pros and cons. There we go. Is that the Astros are really good at developing players. And obviously, eventually, Hunter Brown's going to need to get paid and all that. But, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come. But, but at that point, it becomes who do you prefer? But right now, if Walker gets off the books, depending on how good Amai gets, yeah, that's just extra change you can use to try to get Amai back, which I think is an absolute really good deal. Or even better, uh, um, the rumored guys on the trade block this season, Myers, Walker, Zach, and I was thinking about this. I say you trade one of them and go ahead and solidify your rotation. I know the Astros probably want to be patient because I know a lot of people are going to look at the Astros rotation right now and be like, you know what? They're missing that fourth or fifth starter, But they forget we have Ronald Blanco coming back and we got Hayden Wesnesty's coming back. But I don't know about you, Noah, but I don't want to wait. I want to literally come out guns a blazing, which means I want to go out there, trade for someone, or I want to sign someone. Do you feel the same way?
Right now, I think the Astros rotation is very solid now. If you had asked me before the Tatsuya Imai deal going into the season, if they hadn't really made any more significant moves, I would tell you otherwise. But now, with pretty sure he's going to be penciled in as the number 2 or number 3 starter, which I'm very confident in him with. The Astros have a lot of depth now. They have a lot of depth. Traded for Mike Burrows, signed Ryan Weiss, have Spencer Arrighetti coming back healthy, have AJ Bluebaugh, signed Nate Pearson. They still got Jason Alexander, Colton Gordon, and just like they have a lot of guys. So, do I necessarily think they need to go out there and get another starter at the moment? If one for a good price pops up, then sure. If one for a good trade partner comes up in a potential Jake Myers, Jesus Sanchez, Christian Walker, Isaac Paredes type deal, maybe. But as of right now, I think they're fine. I think they have plenty of options to do so. And to start off next season, they had play 25 games in 27 days, only 2 off days in that stretch. And I very strongly recommend or think that they're going to go with a 6-man rotation just to like stretch out these guys so they're not having to, they have the depth to do it. So ultimately, my opinion is if one pops up for the right price, sure. But, I think if they were to go in it with this core, I think they would be okay. You're still, like I said, Framber Valdez, he's hard to replace. Tatsuya Amai, he's bound to have some growing pains, but we will ultimately have to wait and find out.
And here's another question I would have for us as Astros fans and, just in general. Do you feel like we need to add at least one more lefty? Do you feel like we're too righty heavy?
It
Or
is it is pretty righty heavy, I'll have to say. I don't really know where you can fit a lefty into it at the moment because the rotation's pretty full because you have, like I said, Ryan Weiss, Mike Burrows, you guess still have Lance McCullers looming in there. Christian Javier. So one of these guys, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made if a lot of these guys are doing well and competing for a spot. Maybe some cuts, maybe some trades, but you can never have too much depth. And I'm never going to say no to adding pitching. I'm never going to say no to adding pitching, even if it means, making some of those tough decisions. So if they do, any more pitching that they want to add, I'm fine with.
so it sounds like you're actually good with the starting pitching to start the year.
I'm good with it to start the year, per se.
Yeah.
But if it comes to a point where we need a lefty starter, there's always the deadline. There's always maybe we have someone down in the minors who's a lefty. I need to do more research on that. And but overall, I'm pretty comfortable with it now. Like, yes, the lack of lefties is kind of a little concerning, but I'm not too like worried at the moment.
I'm on the other side of the fence. I say let's go out there. Let's try to get Lucas Giolito for a 1-year prove-it deal. Let's try to get someone, you know? I want to come out the season feeling absolutely comfortable that we can, you know, throw out, good pitcher for good pitcher for good pitcher. And not saying like Eric Getty and all them aren't good pitchers or Nate Pearson not a good pitcher. It's just I want to feel like every game is winnable. And and on top of that, like you said, it makes great depth. And like you also said, we have a lot of games to play. And especially if you're going to stretch it out to the 6-man rotation, I think if anything, at least for me personally, in my opinion, I think it makes more sense to go out there and get at least one more pitcher. And that way, in case you have another season like last year, where pitchers are just falling down like flies, you at least give yourself more options. Now, but there's one thing me and you agree on, and that's like you got to wait for the right price because I I don't think obviously the Ranger Suarez's of the world and all that they're off the table. Obviously, that's not going
Mhm.
to happen. Um, I think another Mike Burrows trade where we pick up someone that's kind of underrated. That's a possibility. So all in all, I just want to add one more pitcher that's affordable, even if it's at the cost of Walker, Paredes, or Jake Myers, because and maybe you can tell me this, maybe I do have too much trust in the developmental system to develop someone.
I mean, the track record's pretty good. The track record's pretty good. If you look at like the bullpen, you got guys like Steven Okert, Bennett Sousa, Brian King. A lot of those guys were journeymen. A lot of those guys were just bouncing from roster to roster, never really, doing anything crazy, but they come to Houston and now they're serviceable relievers. They're reliable relievers for the most part. You got guys like Taylor Scott last year, and I think in 2024, who was really, really great. Yeah, he fell off the next year. He's off the team now. But you got, the resurgence in Hector Neris when he came here. This the track record's too strong for me not to not trust them. I feel like if you're a pitcher and you're coachable and you have the underlying good stuff, the Astros can get the best pitcher out of you. And that's where I stand right now.
All right, and I want to ask you this. I want another Christian Javier. Now, some people may ask, what does that mean? I want another long reliever. And I guess you can say if they decide to go with a 6-man, almost like an emergency 7th man, I guess you can say in this case. I want like because one of the things that Christian Javier was famously known for was like that guy that can come out in long relief. That was the start of his career before he became a now primary starter, was back then he was the primary bullpen long relief guy and he was lights out. And we were asking the Astros to give him a chance in the rotation and thankfully he's panned out. He's a really good starter. But even when you put guys from long reliever to starter, I feel like it's always nice to have that long reliever that you can trust and go to when you do have a starter that, gives up 4 or 5 runs to still keep you in the game. I don't like games where, the Astros just kind of like feel like they're tapping out, and just rely heavily on the bullpen because it can be taxing on the bullpen and it's just like it's a bad feeling, on games like that. So how do you feel, or do you agree with me that we should like rather it's Eric Getty or someone like that, put him in long relief like that in the Javier spot, so to speak?
So I feel like they already have a lot of guys internally who could take that spot. AJ Blueball, he did it last year at points. He was really, really solid at it going down the stretch. I believe he's going to be competing for maybe like a back end rotation that's like seventh starter. He can, or that long reliever role. I think he will be in that long reliever emergency sixth, seventh spot starter. Um, Another guy who they brought in, Nate, like I said, Nate Pearson. He's going to be competing for a starting spot, but I think he could also be really suited well for that long relief role. Get a guy who can get you 2 or 3 innings if if the starter's night doesn't go too well. Um, Jason Alexander. We saw his heroics down the end of the year being really dependable. He is another guy who's also kind of on the outside looking in at this point. I feel like I think he's also going to be competing for that long relief spot. And then you got guys coming back later on who could maybe do it. Maybe once Ronel Blanco comes back, in order to ease him up again, he could go to the bullpen. He's done it before. Um, Hayden Wisniewski, like you said, potentially, and Brandon Walter. Brandon Walter was a guy who came in and was pretty much like a Jason Alexander guy. Former top prospect, came in, pitched really well before he went down for the year. So yeah, I don't think they necessarily need to go out and get someone. I know it would make you feel more comfortable if they did, but I feel like they have the right amount of players inside the organization who could do that long relief role.
All right, and AJ Blue Ball, I'm completely comfortable if he takes that spot because, like, when I think another good thing about the Christian Javier spot, as I like to call it, is like it's kind of like a developmental kind of thing, kind of like ease them into being a starter. Jason Alexander, I guess you could say it's a maybe. The other one was who? Nate Pearson.
Nate Pearson, Brandon
Yeah,
Walter, stuff like that.
yeah, Brandon Walters, I'm even fine with. Nate Pearson, I'm not sure about because we know mostly what he can deliver, but you never know with the Astros. They've taken like we said before, they've taken pitchers before, and then just all of a sudden magically they're really good again. And uh, so with that being said, we know this team. Okay, like in the past, I've talked about the outfield. It's good, right? At least defensively. But do we feel comfortable with the bats? Because Jake Myers, he's a good defensive outfielder. But do they need to add one more outfielder? Outfield bat. I'm talking about like a legit bat that can actually hit.
That
You know,
would be that would be nice because that's also my concern right now is the outfield. Yes, they're great defensively. Cam Smith, rookie year, new position, and he's already competing for a gold glove or already a gold glove finalist. Jake Myers, he's really good defensively, really highly touted. Um, we don't really know what's going to go on with left field because the Astros said they want to primarily play Jordan Alvarez at DH. And are they going to platoon Jordan and Altuve at left field? Are they going to trade Jake Myers? Who knows? The outfield situation is for me is kind of just we got to wait and see if anyone gets traded. Jesus Sanchez, he's also going to be competing for that spot. Cam Smith is going to be competing for it. Dana Brown has said earlier in the offseason that Cam Smith is not guaranteed the starting spot. If someone else like Zach Cole comes out and does really good, Jesus Sanchez is doing really good. So, yes, it would be nice to have a for sure guy who you could pencil in that is going to give you production. Because right now, the outfield, in my opinion, is Jake Myers in center and two what ifs.
that's literally my opinion on it too. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't even be fine with Jake Myers hitting every day because he goes through stretches, which I guess you can say for every baseball player, where he's fine, but then he just like for some reason like loses it. I think last season I might have to look up stats, but I think last season was probably his best hitting season by
Yeah,
far.
best hitting
Yeah.
season so far. Not power wise, but just overall hitting.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for when it comes to guys like Jake Myers, who mainly focus on defense. Is just put the ball in play, and you know what? If you have to beat out a few plays, so be it. Beat out a few plays, And you really like Jesus Sanchez. Yes, he's a fine bat, but we all know at the end of the day, like he doesn't really put the bat in play, and when he does, yes, it's hard contact. So my thing is like I would feel a lot more better if we went out there and get like someone like yes, even if they do strike out a decent amount like a Jesus Sanchez, I would like to have that feeling of like, oh, he really got to hold the ball. Someone like I'm trying to think of a really good example that would be affordable, obviously, because obviously we kind of already spent our money on Imai. We got our big name.
Yeah,
Like I,
we need to clear. We're gonna need to clear some salary first in order to
yeah.
make another signing. Whether it's Walker, Paredes, Myers, or whoever.
Yeah, I guess you can say in a perfect world, I wouldn't mind someone like he's Man, I was gonna say Riley Telez, I'm like, he's an outfielder, but someone like him, that just so happens to play outfield.
For me personally, if they were to add an outfielder, I would love Harrison Bader. I currently live in Philly, went to a bunch of Phillies games, and Harrison Bader was a super fun player. Yes, it was a small sample size for what he did, but you know, if he would be kind of a choice for me if they were to look at adding an outfielder via free agency.
He would be absolutely perfect for the Astros, absolutely perfect. Um, you know, put him since he's getting older, put him in left, Jake Myers in center, and then you can have Cam Smith in right, and then, just go through that, you know? To me, that makes perfect sense. You can have that way Harrison Bader can play a lot more games this season. You don't have to worry about him getting fatigued. Jake Myers is young and in center. We know how he does. We know how he does in center. He plays really good. Cam Smith is already proven to be a really good defensive right fielder, and Cam Smith actually can hit a little bit. It's not like he's a bum, with the bat. Obviously, he's not the best with it.
I mean, it
Um,
was his.
but
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it was his rookie year, and going immediately from college ball to I think he played like what 20 games in the minors, and then you're a
yeah,
starting right fielder for the Houston Astros the next year. Like,
yeah,
of course, you're going to get like burnt out midway through because you're not used to that playing at that intense of a level for 162 games. So
right.
I fully believe that I'm still Cam Smith has all the raw talent. He has the power. He has the speed. He has the defense, and I feel like a full offseason of working with the coaches and everything, he's gonna be fine. And I feel like Cam Smith and the Jesus Sanchez, it's kind of gonna be a platoon type deal because these two are gonna have to get at bats somewhere. So some days Jesus could play left, maybe, even though he's more suited for right field. Cam Smith, I think, will exclusively play right field. I mean, I think Cam Smith could maybe one day make the move over to center field. He has the athleticism to do it, but we'll see what happens because I'm still pretty high on Cam Smith.
Yeah, same here, and that's basically what I was gonna say. And you know what? We asked for Imai, we got Imai. That's our next wish list. Let's get Harrison Bader in left, or we'll even be happy if he plays center.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
for
uh,
me, I was wondering, sorry to interrupt you again, but
no, 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 you're good.
if the Astros were say to somehow get back in on the Brendan Donovan trade talks, he would be my perfect fit because he could play left field on days where Altuve DHs, he plays second base, and he's a lefty, doesn't strike out, really good contact, decent power, and maybe if you package the Cardinals said they're looking for pitching. Maybe if you package one of your MLB ready pitchers for them or a younger starting pitcher, maybe I mean I don't want to trade Spencer Arrighetti, but maybe Spencer Arrighetti and a couple prospects for Donovan, maybe they do it. I don't know, but maybe I think the Astros could potentially look to get back in on the Brendan Donovan sweepstakes because if you trade Christian Walker, move Isaac Paredes over to first base, put Brendan Donovan in left field, Jake Myers in center, Cam Smith in right, Altuve at second, Jordan at DH, that kind of fixes everything.
Yeah,
And
it
that would be great.
it does. And let me ask you this: what if a team comes to you and asks for someone like Bryce Matthews? What would it take to get him from us? Because we've seen what he can do.
We've seen what he can do. He does strike out still. He has that plate discipline problem from he's a decent defender. In my opinion, is he ready to take over the just starting job yet? No, but he's still young, got a lot of promise. And I definitely think probably an MLB level bat for Bryce Matthews, an average to adequate MLB level bat is what it would take for me. And maybe a good reliever, a bat and a reliever probably.
Yeah, because I've been 50-50 on trading him. Um, and I always like think to myself, I'm like, you know, it might come down to the fact that we get desperate and we say, you know what, we just got to pull the trigger and like we're talking about, just get someone like a Donovan over for him. And I think the Cardinals will buy it, obviously, because he's our number one prospect. And why wouldn't you want a Bryce Matthews for Brendan Donovan? Brendan Donovan, even if it's like straight up, even straight up, that's fair. Um, and and like we said, even in the last show, we're a winning team now, so we can't. It's not like we can just hog prospects. And granted, we don't some seasons. We do use him quite, in a good way sometimes. Is there times where like I wish it would be more aggressive with it? Sure. And in this case, I'm okay with giving up Bryce Matthews if it means getting what we want and what we need. And right now, what we need is like we're saying, Harrison Bader or Brendan Donovan, or base case scenario, we get a guy that probably has shown potential, but like has like more years of control. Like who comes to my mind? I don't know. Maybe like a Kyle Stower or something like that. Granted, I don't know how many years of control he has, but you know,
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to pry Kyle Stowers away from Miami.
yeah,
We'll see. I don't think that's super realistic, but we'll see what happens. Um, for me with Bryce Matthews, when the Astros initially selected him, I thought maybe it was a tiny bit of a reach when we first drafted him, but we really just got to kind of wait and see what what if he breaks out in AAA this year if we don't trade him in the offseason. And, he's lining up to be that Altuve replacement type guy.
yeah. And here's my other problem. Bryce Matthews is a second baseman. How old will he be by the time Altuve's contract expires?
Probably mid to late 20s. So yeah, I mean, he's kind of blocked at the moment because I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think he's gonna if the Astros move on. Jeremy Pena, he's far away from being a free agent. He's not going to take over shortstop. He's not going to be a third baseman. So in my opinion, Bryce Matthews should be available. I mean, a lot of people are going to be mad that why are we shipping off top prospects, and then you're going to say that's what they said about Melt when we traded for Burrows about Melton and Brito. Though Brito was at least 2 or 3 years away from being relevant, and Melton, yeah, he has the potential to be good, but he was kind of blocked here.
Yeah, and that's always been another problem with Bryce Matthews. Like, okay, yeah, he shows a lot of potential. I think if you call him up right now, and obviously like it showed too when we did, he's a serviceable, MLB player. He could play on someone's team like right now, like in Miami, probably not at Pittsburgh anymore because they got Brandon Lowe, but
Or
you know what I
St.
mean. So
Louis, yeah.
yeah, St. Louis even, he can play on someone's team right now and just develop like that. So, realistically, I don't know what their plan is with him in the future because 'cause we're kinda just wasting his time, to be honest with you.
Yeah. If the Astros wanted to do, I think if the Astros, like I said, I'm going to repeat myself. If the Astros wanted to get back in on the Brendan Donovan trade rumors, I feel like they definitely could. I feel like they should if they are going to trade one of Paredes or Walker, because that would just solve a lot of issues. It would give you a for sure option in left field and second base. And it would just it would solve a lot of your problems, is what I'm saying, basically, if the Astros don't want to put Jordan in left field consistently.
Yeah, and, my thing is I just wanna go all in. Rather or not we got enough pitching, obviously that's up for the powers that be to decide, but one thing's for sure, I definitely want to get, 1 or 2 more, serviceable outfielders out there. Not saying that Cam Smith isn't, but if we get an upgrade at right, I would love it, and we definitely need someone in left. And after we get someone in left, I think this team can really face the Dodgers, which is, the goal. Because let's be honest, the Dodgers more likely are going back to the World Series. And even if they don't, I think winning a World Series with Imai this year is the goal,
Yeah.
and it should be the goal. And if Dana Brown and Jim Crane's vision isn't all the way up here, heck, I'll even go up here, and you don't start getting ultra aggressive, with making some moves for the outfield. I think we're gonna look back on the season, even if we get eliminated in the playoffs, we're gonna look back on it and say, man, we should have just been all in. And I get it, we have spent a decent amount of money on some big names, and that's a good thing. Um, but when you got a chance to possibly win the whole thing, you don't just stay content. You go all the way in, and we got the weapons, we got the pieces. Let's make it work.
Mhm. And that's what Tatsuya Imai today said. He came here to win a championship. He came here to beat the Dodgers. He knows we can do it. We know we can do it. We just got to make the right moves and we got to stay healthy. That's the key. We cannot be the most injured team in baseball again. We need to stay healthy. I know freak accidents happen. You can't avoid injuries. It's impossible. But we need to stay as healthy as possible, and that's the key to success in 2026. And like that's we're hitting about 30 minutes here. So hope you all guys have a great rest of your day. Tatsuya Imai is an Astro. I'm extremely happy. Heel is very happy. He's throwing up the
Yeah.
H's. We're throwing up the H's. Let's go Stros. Let's go Texans next Monday night. Houston Texans playing the Steelers in the wild card weekend. So we'll see what happens there. And we're signing out. See you guys.